Well, I'm so happy you guys came out for us today, because it's, especially Jim at the last minute, I appreciate you.
Okay,
Filling in
you're
for Bobby Sexton, who bailed on us. Make sure you get that in there.
Get that in there.
So, but so I want to start a little bit talking about the area here, and like your father, like you said, was right next door to me, where we are here.
Exactly.
So you guys were in citrus back then, or even prior to that?
Well, we were in, prior to that, actually, my father and my grandfather started the business, and they were farming tomatoes and watermelons and cantaloupes and all kinds of truck farming, mostly west of Fort Pierce. And when the tax sale came along, where the state of Florida sold a lot of land in our area for back taxes back in the late 1940s, after the war, they bought quite a big piece of land out southwest of Vero Beach, and that's where we planted all our grows out that way. Stayed in the tomato business, oh my goodness, until I'd say the late 60s, when Mexico kind of took over the tomato business for this area. But had a couple packing houses in those days, so it was quite a big operation.
And how about you, Jim?
Well, I grew up in the citrus thing, and from over Central Florida, up around Ocala, and that's where our family had our citrus business. Got out of college, and you know, both my dad and I decided it'd be a good idea to get experience doing something else. I mean, other parts of the industry. So I went to work for a company called Florida Citrus Mutual.
Oh, right.
Yep, and which was a grower co-op. Anyway, so they said you can move anywhere in Florida, just start from Daytona to West Palm. So I got in the car and started driving. and had an old college friend who was in the citrus business here, young Ben Bailey. He just so I hit town, and that was the day that he got his discharge from the National Guard and his divorce papers in the mail.
The same day?
The same
Oh my
day.
gosh.
And I showed
Which
up.
one was better?
So that's I never left. So anyway, this has been my home since '72.
Now, was your dad here too then? Or?
No, that he was.
He was still in Ocala?
Yeah, he was over in Marion County up in Ocala, and actually I went back up there, being the family business back in the late '70s, and for 5 years, and then the cold weather ran us back down here.
Did he come over here then?
No. He matter of fact, he passed away during that time.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah, and the cold weather we lost all our groves.
Right.
They killed all the trees, and so anyway, I had an opportunity to come back here, so I came back and I went to work for Grace Weathers Company, which is an old company. One of the old, like all these guys, one beautiful thing about the citrus industry in Florida, we're all a bunch of family businesses, been here for generations and generations. But that's kind of still, you know, for a lot of, it was, in its heyday, that was what it was, just a whole bunch of family businesses. So that was one of the original families. So they invited me down here, and so I came down here and worked for them. And they moved their business down here from the Panhandle of Florida in the late 1800s, maybe 1900, somewhere in there.
I know it was early.
Yeah, it was really early. They were in the pulpwood business.
Right.
Or sawmill business.
Right.
Sawmill business, not pulpwood. Anyway, so they had, you know, they just harvested, you know, that, and they went from that, like George's family, into vegetables. And then in the 1920s, and they started planting citrus.
So you guys, though, kind of saw the heyday of the citrus industry just ramp up there, because there wasn't a lot of plantings here at that time at citrus. It was all produce, right? And then
It was mostly produce.
Yeah.
There was quite a bit of citrus, but it was in the Wabasso area, on the island, on the barrier island, and west of Fort Pierce. Fort Pierce, St. Lucie County, had most all the citrus in the whole Indian River District in those years, in the early years, back in the 50s, 40s, and 50s. And like Jim was saying, family holdings were small. I mean, you know, there were a lot of 20 and 40 and 80 acre grove owners that they made a living.
Right.
On
And a good one. Yeah.
Absolutely, and they lived on that 40 acres and packing kind of consolidated some of those growers, and that's where all these co-ops and whatever were set up. And Riverfront was,
Well, it was a very, it was a very horizontal structure when I came into it, 81. You had, like George said, you had a bunch of 40-acre growers, and they could live off of that. And then so you had multiple growers, you had multiple harvesters, you had multiple caretakers. I mean, a 40-acre grower would hire a harvester, hire a caretaker, and they could live off of that. And then packing houses would go out and solicit those growers to pack their fruit and market it. That was the way it was, and to Jim's point, it was very much a family business. We've seen some big guys come in over the years. In the late '80s, early '90s, we had Damani, Ocean Spray,
Right.
Dole, Chiquita. I think they looked at our industry as these are just a bunch of mom and pop dumb farmers. We can come in and take this industry over. Well, they forgot it's not a corporate job 9 to 5. It's
Right.
7 days a week from whatever it takes, and they didn't have that culture that we had. And they left here with a whole lot less money than when they came. And that's just the truth of it. But the industry changed from a horizontal structure to very much today a vertical structure. You have got to be entirely self-sufficient to survive. You've got to be a grower, a packer, a harvester, a marketer. You've got to be all those things. And that's what kind of shook out the industry a little bit, because you couldn't make it on 40 acres anymore. The small growers are virtually gone, which is a shame, because that was the culture of this area.
Right.
it was, it's very true. They ran the deal. But you had 24 of them to run a packing house, and without them, when one left, you were out looking for someone to take his place.
And there was really a common respect of most packers. I mean, if George or Jim at Graves Brothers had a grower that had nice fruit, and I needed nice fruit, you had a respect for these guys. You weren't going to go try to poach his grower. Now some did, but it was just not. That was part of the culture too. There was a respect amongst those executives of the families that were running packing houses that. I couldn't do that to one of these guys and then go have a beer with them like this. It didn't feel, the ethics just was a high level of ethical, moral character in the business, along with a lot of characters in the business.
Well, this seems to be a lot of characters over on the river.
yeah.
I don't know, I don't know what it was about the area, but I was talking to, who were the guys I had this morning? John Dalbora and Frank Sullivan. And they were talking about, they were involved with United Fruit Sales Company, I think it was.
Well, it's Indian River
That's part of
Citrus
maybe-
Sales, who
that was
we were
that,
also part of at
Yes.
one time.
And
Right.
so-
Yeah.
And Graves
so we
Brothers
were-
at one
And
time.
they couldn't remember who the other person was. They were talking about A.B. Michael, and one or two other people. They couldn't remember. There was like, I think he said 5 people in the whole thing, but they couldn't remember who they all were. So
In United,
I think it was the Indian River, or maybe it was the Indian River.
Well, United was,
Sales.
United was there, Indian River Packing Company was
Indian
there.
River Packing, which was Marshall Barnes and Hogan and Sons, and we brought in Graves Brothers later, and United, which was Kennedy and Riles and Vickers and let's see, forgot what the guy's name was. Lester Baker was running the deal, and Sullivan from Cocoa,
Right.
and that was the deal.
Right, and then, to give, what you just kind of sum it up, it was, we're all small family-owned businesses and all that sort of thing. But one of the greatest thing about, working in this business, in this industry, we're all competitors, but we're all friends.
Right.
We have family spats. Well,
Every
I get
family
mad
does.
and beat the hell out of somebody, but they'll last about an hour, and move on, But no,
For sure.
So that's one thing I think that, I'm not sure it's unique, but it's certainly a great positive to have, and don't see it that much in other businesses, but hopefully it is on some other businesses. But anyway, in our industry, that's everybody we get along, we compete, and we compete hard and run hard, and we're all good friends at the end of the day.
Well, I know when the industry was first starting and gearing up and ramping up, and this was primarily fresh area here, correct?
Correct.
And then when did the whole Japanese influence come in?
When I got out of the service in 1971, and I think 1973 was when Japan opened up, and there was a mad dash to see who could corner what company in Japan to buy fruit. And it was so new, the Japanese really were used to just looking at perfect produce. I mean, that was what they were normally, that's what they produced, that's what they bought out of California, and they had been buying there for a while. And Sunkist they had fallen off with Sunkist. And then when Florida took over and we had wind scar and melanose and rust mite and whatever, they were going, oh my gosh, what do we have? But then they tasted our product and they went, wow, here's what you have. You have internal quality that we have never tasted before. So the industry and the demand in Japan went sky high really, really rapidly. But as an industry on the river, we almost messed it up because we pushed the envelope almost too far to give them quality that
They got used to.
that they had not seen before, and they wanted more of the perfect looking fruit, which somehow we could grade it down and find that, but it got difficult
Got
at
painful.
times. It really did.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like osmosis. You kind of levels out. It finds its levels. We all come back level.
That's right.
The quality of meat the market will take, and that's kind of the balancing act we constantly struggle with during that whole time.
So who was the first person to get into there? First packing
Seal
house?
Sweet, the marketing company, is that?
I would say that everybody kind of went at once. I mean, Seal Sweet, In River Citrus Sales,
Egan.
and Egan, all three about the same
Well,
time.
probably Deerfield too. With the
And
market.
Deerfield was in the deal too.
Yeah,
Deerfield was big in the 60s and early 70s. And when United broke off from Deerfield, they were all Deerfield growers, and they decided to open their own facility. When they built their facility, Deerfield really kind of fell off for a little while.
And who owned Deerfield at that time? Was that Graves? Who
It
owned
was a
Deerfield?
family-owned business.
Yeah, that was A.B. Michael.
A.B.
was-
Michael.
Yeah, that was A.B. Michael, okay.
Right.
And all that
And
fruit, and that's was kind of they had all their fruit was grown orchid on the barrier island.
Right.
And it was real different than it was grown here, or 2 miles away. Just being on that island in that position, and that's something the Japanese market they really wanted, because it was real different and it was real. Anyway, so and it was a famous label that they had called the Orchid label.
Right, his beautiful label.
And so that was a kind of a big deal on that. It's kind of and Grace Brothers bought through some other investors that company eventually. But one of the unique things about that when you have that type of product and that label identification is at the end of the day when you pack the fruit, you tell the customer what they're getting. It's not you trying to sell or anything like that. You tell the customer, okay, this is what you get. Okay, so we kind of divvy it out. So
You're allocating instead of
yeah,
selling.
you allocate. You allocate. It's kind of like if any of us drink wine in California. I know, and there's some wineries that would do the same thing. They're really famous,
yes,
famous
absolutely.
brand of wine. They get the vintage in, or they,
Small
bottle it up and
batches.
they get it in. They say, okay, well, here, I remember you get this one, you get two, you get three, you get whatever, and how they. So that's kind of how that worked, and which it didn't. It was it went for about 20 years, and then
Well, I was talking to Ann Michaels. Is it Michael or Michaels? It's singular, right? Michael?
Michael.
Yes. And so she was married to Joe, who was A.B.'s son. And so she's like 90, I don't want to say 94 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm supposed to meet with her in 2 weeks and try to do a video oral history with her.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
And
wow.
she actually
Yeah.
has some old pictures of the Michael family.
right.
And one of them is of A.B. crowning one of the citrus queens.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
The Lears were part of that family too, weren't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They were all
yeah,
kind
right.
of those,
Yeah.
Who was this?
Lears,
L-I-E-R.
I didn't know them.
What was their relationship to the Michaels?
Oh, George Lear and
He married a Michael,
He
didn't he?
married a Michael, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He married one of the Michael daughters,
Yeah,
I
right.
guess. Yeah. And, but it was, Lee Johnston,
Yeah.
remember Lee, who else? Anyway, yeah. And God, they got, and what they did, real estate got them, of course, they're in the extremely valuable real estate, and finally somebody bought them up and sold everything, and, that was over,
It's all
what was that, in
rooftops
the
today.
90s?
Yeah.
Somewhere in the 90s, I guess that happened, yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of some of the families, let's talk about some of the families who kind of were, in the heyday, who were some of the larger families that you talked about, and are, like, I remember Ben Bailey being here, and I remember Alan Riles,
Mhm.
and then of course Bernie Egan,
Yeah.
and then the Knights, but that's pretty much all I really knew of here.
The Graves, the whole Graves family was, when, in the 60s and 70s were huge. Bill Graves, at one time, Bill Graves was known, and I don't know if it was true or not, but that was what was always said, that he was the largest single grove owner in the state of Florida.
Wow.
I mean, I'm talking about, it was not incorporated, he was singly owned these,
And that one grove was over 80 acres, the whole thing.
No, that's right.
They were scattered all
They
over
were
the damn
scattered
place.
all
Oh
over
my
goodness.
3 counties.
I remember the story of Boo riding with him once, and he looked at a grove and he said, "Boo, that's a nice looking grove. Find out who owns it." He goes, "Grandpa, that's yours." That's true story. Oh, okay. Let's keep
That's
driving.
funny.
I remember going to church when I was a little boy, and he had so much grove that he didn't take care of them really, really well. And mowing, even though he had mowers, he did not like to use them. So he would, every Sunday morning at Sunday school, he would say a prayer to have a ground frost to kill the grass. I'll never forget. I'm like, wait a minute, we don't want a frost. Oh, we do.
Well, he wouldn't open his packing house. You guys know
Oh,
better than me, until everybody
February
else
or
was
something.
done.
That's
Yeah,
right.
And
yeah.
then that was back in the day of the
Yeah,
markets. You just send it
exactly.
to the market to auction, and he would get more money for his fruit that looked like he dug it like a potato than what others did, working hard to keep it clean to meet what George was talking about and Jim for the market conditions. He didn't care about any of that. He didn't matter. He would just send it up to New York or Boston or Philadelphia or Detroit, Chicago at that time all had markets, and he'd make more money than the rest of us.
That's right. Oh, man.
So who were some of the other
Oh,
fun
shoot.
ones you were hanging around with?
Yeah.
Well, the Hamners which is a
yeah.
part of the
Well,
part
which
of
was
the Graves
great.
The
family.
Sextons.
Yeah,
More Graves,
Sextons.
Sextons.
See, the problem is the Hamners, the Sextons, the Graves,
They're all
They're
related.
all
they're all
related.
related.
I told George, I said, that tree is pretty straight there, bud.
In Fort Pierce, you had Tony Economy, you had
Yeah.
the Scotto family.
Yeah,
You know, you know, packing house wise, you had obviously, as you mentioned, the Kennedys and the
Oh,
Riles.
the
as you know.
Mittens.
The Mittens were big. Yeah,
Oh,
the
that's
Minton
right.
family was a
Yeah.
big family
Yeah.
down there. But I mean, it was all, like I said, it was all a good group of guys that, as Jim said, compete a little bit, and we were always
Mhm.
competing, but just really good friends and did a lot of things socially together. We still do. Even though these guys are retired, I still like them.
Are you jealous?
No. I think they might be jealous of me. As George said, and then Jim's still involved a little bit, and George is too. George's son and I work together, and so it's a legacy there. He's just, prince of people. I mean,
Yeah.
there's really, really, really wonderful folks in this industry.
Now what about like the gift
Richardson's
song?
another family.
Okay,
I
yeah, that's
forgot.
right, yeah.
That's right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Richardson's,
Oh, and
Lambeth's.
well,
The Hales?
the Adams family.
Yep. Not
Down
from
in
the
Fort
TV
Pierce.
show, the Adams family out of Fort
Yeah,
Pierce.
exactly.
Um,
Well, maybe not. No.
Adams? Is that Adams?
Alto Adams, yeah. Judge Adams is and then then they got the ranch, and then they got into the citrus business too. The Scott family also was one
Scott's a big
that
family. Yeah.
large growers. Struzzulas, yeah. I mean,
Oh, I forgot
the list
about
goes
that,
on.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sitting, trying to come.
Yeah,
Anyway, it's that's something that you need to look into. We need a czar.
A czar?
A czar.
Can I be a
It kinda-
czarette?
She is the
I'll
czar.
be the czarette.
To keep up with all of us guys that are kind of fading.
That's what this is
and
all
keep-
about.
Yeah, I'm trying to say.
And keep us informed about who's doing
Oh.
there and who's doing that, so we can keep up with it.
That's why I'm asking you guys, so let me know what's
Exactly.
happened, because I don't know either. Just moving over here, I don't remember all the
Yeah, and
families.
you think, as you think about the explosion, we would say early '80s is when
Yes.
we really exploded with grapefruit here, and it was really conducive to the tax protocol that had been injected into the system by President Reagan. At that point, you would invest in a grove, you'd capitalize it for 5 years, and then you'd have a 30-year straight line depreciation on the improvements. Not a great tax benefit. Ronald Reagan came in and did a 10% investment tax credit and a 5-year double declining balance depreciation schedule, and you had a lot of infusion of international money at that time, because it was an opportunity, and you had some of the bigger growers expanded because you could have cash flow but not paying taxes for the first 5 years or so. So that really, and they said, okay, what should we plant? We want to be on the coast. What should we plant? It was grapefruit, and grapefruit just exploded. If you look at the numbers, it really escalated from the volume from 84 to 2000, and that was a result of the plantings from 80 to 84.
And the plantings were a result of the Japanese
No, the
trade
plantings
market
were
opening?
well, it was already open. The plantings were a result of the tax advantages
Benefits,
to
right.
invest in citrus and own Florida land and have the ability to farm it and have positive cash flow without having to pay taxes.
But I mean the decision to plant grapefruit rather than anything else.
That was just because this is
If
grapefruit
you're in the
country.
Indian River area, sure.
It's not because we're geniuses. This is grapefruit. This
Well,
is grapefruit
yeah,
country.
the other thing that we want to remember about where we live and where we're in citrus all these years is there's only, somebody explained to me, there's only 2 places in the world can grow this type of fruit. What makes Indian River grapefruit so special is it's sweet and it's juicy. No else, there's only one other place in the world, oh God, was it it's on Uruguay, Argentina border, you know, little place down there, the only place that, in here, that does that. Every other place that grows grapefruit is mostly arid climate,
Okay.
which, you know, produces really pretty skin. They don't have insects that much, or, you know, that type of thing. And so if you think of the grapefruit producing areas of the world, you think California is arid, Egypt is arid, South Africa is arid, Israel is real arid,
Turkey.
Turkey is arid, just name a place. There's no other place in the world that it grows with the saltwater thing and whatever, all this
Right.
other stuff that we are being close to the ocean that provide.
In the water.
So that's what made it special here and made grapefruit, it's not, in the fruit world, grapefruit's not a big player, you know, huge like apples or grapes or something, but it made us very unique.
Now, John Dabora had said that Orchid Island grapefruit was even more different than anything else grown over here.
It was.
And then
It was.
when
Yeah,
the space shut, Cape Canaveral, when they
Right.
took all that land from them,
right,
and then they put it in native plants instead of citrus,
right.
they just lost just a lot of
Right,
good.
Right, and that's
Yeah.
where it all started. What was it, in 1830, 50, somewhere in that, 1850, I think it was. The guy came down to what's now the Indian River, you know, the intercoastal waterway,
Right.
and planted the first plantings on the island over there. So the grapefruit started over there.
Was that Dummett? Who was that?
Captain, yeah.
I think
I
it was.
think it
I think it
was.
was Dummett. I think it was.
Yeah.
That name rings a bell.
It was Captain somebody. I can't
I think it was
remember.
Captain Dummett. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds familiar, yeah. So that's where it all started.
Okay. Now, once we got into Japan, and then we had some problems in the industry when, I mean, in the 80s especially, we had the freezes, the bugs, canker, everything. It seemed to happen like yeah. I mean, so tell us a little bit about what you guys went through with those, because it seemed like there was a boom time and then a boom, and it was up and down so much during that time.
Well, you know, the freezes in the 80s really, I mean, it was terrible for us growers, but it really helped the industry because it kept the supply fairly low.
Right.
If we had not had those freezes, our supply would have exceeded demand so quickly. I think we would have really lost a lot of our appeal especially in the foreign markets, because there would have been such a huge supply, and we were trying to get a larger price.
Premium, yeah.
And I think that they hurt us and helped us, and it's kind of a paradox about how, which is better. But if without them, our industry would have really suffered, I think. I mean, we suffered, yes, having them, but we would have also suffered without them.
It caused a geographic relocation of the industry. As Jim said, his family got run out of North Florida. We all remember the rolling hills on the way to Gainesville was all citrus, that's gone. And they relocated to Southwest Florida. That was the onset of the move to Southwest Florida, because that area was low, it didn't drain well, but it was a little bit warmer, so that's where they relocated. And I think they, as the Indians say, where water once stood, it will stand again, and they realized that with Hurricane Ian.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's right. Wow.
Yeah, that was area was, mostly that was oranges. That grew mostly down there because the land was cheap.
Right.
You get thousands of acre chunks. There was a lot of land available to develop.
And who was the first one in down there? Was that Paul? Paul?
I don't know, Pasco, Likes family was down there early.
I know the berries were down there.
Barry was one of the very
Barry
first.
was
Jack Barry was.
LaBelle, he built his juice plant down there.
Yep.
He was big down there, that's right, he had a lot of that, yeah.
The Colliers developed,
Right.
they're
Yeah, Barry and Collier.
Yeah. And then they're bigger, they're newer, and they're bigger farms. I mean,
But
there
they're
are no 40-acre farms down
No.
there.
And Ben Hill went down there with Alico.
Alico,
down there,
on Ben Hill.
Right. okay,
Right,
yeah.
right, exactly. And, I don't, I was thinking, we haven't mentioned the Smith family,
Yeah.
who are big, and,
Well, I think going.
yeah, I don't wanna leave anybody out. And
The Barnes family.
The Barnes
Bates family, there was a lot of
yeah,
Pippin.
Yeah, well, the Egan family, yeah, sure.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember we did a tour over here for, I don't even remember what it was for, maybe for the Department of Citrus used to have those sweepstakes, and I think we brought some in here. I think Ray Smith took us out on his boat in the intercoastal there, and I mean, they pretty much had this whole junket down pat over here.
And then
Everybody knew what to do.
again.
Trying to do it right.
We used to think that was kind of bad. We bring these dignitaries over here from Japan. The first thing they would do would take them up to Orchid Island, and then they feed them at the Rio Mar Club that night and all this. And
And we say we gotta get the price up, we don't have any money, right?
I can see the Japanese going, you know what, these guys are not living too bad. What the heck are we gonna pay them all this money for?
Exactly.
Sometimes you need to show them what's really going on.
But it kind of bred, because then we go over there to Japan to visit them, they
Do the same thing.
to us.
They do the same thing.
Real fancy stuff.
Back in that day, their expense accounts were bigger than their salaries.
Oh,
You
yeah.
didn't get home early. Not with that
They
crowd.
wanted to take advantage of you being
Oh,
there for them
yeah.
too.
And then it was a matter of who was gonna
Exactly,
who was gonna get up
exactly.
early and appear to be tougher than the other one the next morning. Tough
Right.
game.
I was over there a couple of times, so I remember those times as well. I was just as bad, I wasn't going to miss out.
One special piece that speaking about Japan, it was a special connection between our countries with the Sunbelt Dixie and then the Sunbelt Spirit. It was a ship that was built to bring Toyotas over, and it had compartments on there to take 300,000 plus or minus cartons of grapefruit back, and that's all it did. It just brought cars over and grapefruit back, and it was a really special collaboration between our two countries.
Yeah, I actually went down to the docks and saw the ship one time.
Not to President Bush's sister-in-law, Jeb Bush's wife, she went over, they wanted her to come over and christen the vessel because of the connection between Florida specifically and Japan. She christened the Sunbelt Spirit
Oh, wow.
that replaced the Sunbelt Dixie. Yeah.
I had asked John Dalbor about that, and he goes, well, no, we never put our fruit on the Dixie. We took it up to Jacksonville or somewhere and shipped out from there.
Containers.
Yeah.
But that eventually replaced the charter vessels.
Okay.
In the Sunbelt Dixie type.
Containers did, yeah.
Yeah.
So how did that come about to begin with? I mean, who hooked that up with the Toyota, with the?
I think it was Great American Lines through, what was the guy's name, George?
Oh, Gunner?
Well, Gunther was the guy that was the executive there, but it was, who was the importer over there? that
It
worked with
was
Sealed Sweet, you know.
Howard Barron.
Howard was the guy that worked for Sealed Sweet,
Yeah.
but there was Tamanaga.
Tamanaga. And Howard Barron and Tamanaga, kind of, which was American Mercantile.
Right.
They set up the
They set that up,
whole
yeah.
deal.
And there's an interesting story about behind that ship. The Sugihara family, and Brian Sugihara lives in Johns Island here now. There was two twins, Brian and Byron, and their father was credited with convincing MacArthur to allow the emperor to stay in place as a ceremonial position, to allow the Japanese to save face after World War II. So they awarded him, and the Sugiharas owned that ship. And the Toyota family, Toyoda, that owns Toyota, Toyota, was very indebted to him for doing that. So they said, you build the ship and we'll exclusively use it to bring our Toyotas to the United States. And then he's the one that, with Great American Lines, put the refrigerated compartments on there to take the citrus back. And he lives here today.
That is interesting, I never knew that. See?
Yeah, and you
Good
gotta remember
stories.
back in the 70s, Florida citrus was one of the few things that were allowed to be imported.
Oh, exactly.
Other than
Right.
bananas. You know, that was about it. And Japan was a closed place.
I was surprised we even got that in to begin with, so how did that come about?
Wasn't there an orange quota or something? You guys would know
There
the
was,
orange.
there was an orange thing, yeah, and that was, of course, a California thing. But yeah, there was an orange thing, and that was.
You guys had a big piece of it at Grace Brothers, didn't you? At that time, or was that before you got back over here, Jim? I understood, George. You
Well,
would
there
know.
was
I think so.
a company, Fuji.
Yeah.
Fuji company.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Fuji
yeah, that's
company
right.
Had probably about
Yeah.
40% of all the orange imports. I'm
That's what
quoting.
it was, yeah.
And Inver Citrus Sales set up a export deal with him,
Yeah.
and he used that to kind of orchestrate.
Leverage the grapefruit.
Exactly.
Yeah, he controlled the orange quota.
Right.
He had the majority of the whatever, not mostly California oranges, all California oranges, and then he got the grapefruit deal with the Indian River Citrus Sales. So that was a really good move for both of them,
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
especially for citrus sales, because they got the guy that controls the oranges, which is very high demand. Something brand new coming in the market like grapefruit, the consumer didn't know anything about it. That was a great setup.
And that was the white grapefruit too, right? Not.
Well, that was the genius behind
Yes.
these old guys that. We don't have a market for white grapefruit.
We gotta get rid
ain't
of it
telling
somehow.
them- We're not telling them about the red grapefruit.
We told them how good white grapefruit
How good white grapefruit is.
They took it hook, line, and sinker.
Because red grapefruit is taking over the rest of the world,
Right.
the market. That was the genius behind that.
Europe didn't want the white grapefruit,
Right.
but
Nor did the domestic market. Well, the domestic market still had a little traction then.
Not much.
A little, just a little.
But in the late 50s and early 60s, excuse me, in the mid 50s, red grapefruit were very, very difficult to sell. Texas controlled the deal, and the New York area where we sold most of our fruit only liked white grapefruit. So we could send fruit to the Midwest. Texas took it over because of the freight advantage, and we were stuck with red grapefruit until the 57 freeze came along. 57 freeze came along, froze out Texas, and opened up the Midwest, and from that point on, red grapefruit took off, and white grapefruit went down.
I learned something today.
That's the truth.
I learn something with you guys every day. I learned this. I learned what the best scotch is. I learned all that good stuff.
now the ruby red grapefruit, did Victor bring that in?
Star rubies,
Star ruby.
he brought them in from Texas. They were already in Texas and propagated in Texas, and he was trying to get permission to bring those into Florida. And at the time, the commission, you had to go through a process of approval and making sure that the budwood was clean, that you weren't bringing any diseases. And quite frankly, he got tired of waiting.
I thought he just packed it in his
He wasn't very-
suitcase and I heard that.
He wasn't a very patient guy, so he and a guy named Bud Holman flew a DC, whatever, or 9-3, whatever they are, out there and brought him back and landed out at Bud Holman's ranch at Blue
Oh my
Cypress
gosh.
Lake. And they quarantined him. The commissioner of Ag Connor at the time quarantined him. He ended up going through the lawsuits, and he took it up to the Supreme Court and ultimately prevailed.
Wow.
Corky flake.
Corky Flake and Heath.
Corky Flake.
There's another
That's
name.
right.
Another name. That's
I've never heard that name.
That's
Corky
in
Flake.
Brevard
He
County.
he was up in Brevard
Yeah,
County.
he was in
Right.
MIMS, right? He ran
Yep.
MIMS, didn't he?
MIMS CGA,
MIMS CGA.
right.
Mhm. He was a character.
Well, you're laughing, he must have been. I never want to hear a story about
He
Corky
was.
Flake.
Turn the camera off and tell you some stories.
I'll edit them down if they're that bad. We'll do outtakes on those.
Exactly.
And bloopers.
Yeah, the bloopers.
Oh, man.
So, but he was up in MIMS, so what was he, why was he such a character?
He and Victor were contemporaries. I met Corky towards the end of his life, so I never really knew him very well, but they were contemporaries. He was progressive and proactive. He wanted to start Ruby also, so you're right. I forgot Corky was definitely intimately involved in that play, and Bump Holman too. Bump planted him also at the same time. But Audrey tells me the story. They had the nursery at the house there on 16th, and she got a quarter in the morning and a quarter in the afternoon to make sure the lights were on in the nursery back behind the barn.
Oh, man. Oh,
I
goodness.
said, "You were overpaid, chick."
Love it.
Pretty funny.
Exactly. Oh, man.
Yeah, they snuck them in, and it was a huge fight.
Oh,
It was a huge fight. I remember when it happened. It was like, oh my gosh, what are they going to do to these people? They were threatening them pretty, with some huge
and I don't think the
fines.
entire citrus industry was thrilled with it either. I mean, there was some on the other side that said, you shouldn't have done that. I
A
wasn't.
lot of it was jealousy.
Probably, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't we think of it?
Yeah.
I'll promise you that's what it was.
Why don't we have the gumption to do it? Well,
Yeah, but in the 60s and early 70s, just about everybody had their own backyard nursery. I mean that's the grows we had. We had about half a dozen trees in other blocks that we got budwood from because those were the good producers. So we would produce grow our own liners, which are the seedlings, and have them budded with our own budwood. And then when this came along, the state of Florida said, "Oop, we're not going to let this happen anymore," and that's when
Nurseries.
that's when everything had to be certified, which is probably a good thing.
It is. At the end of the day, it is. Safer.
Yeah.
Budwood, yeah.
Yeah, but do you think it maybe detracted from somebody else probably finding different strains or whatever? Because heck, back in the day, that's how a lot of the new varieties were formed, was from the backyard nurseries.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
From mutations.
mhm.
Yep. That's what Star Ruby's a mutation.
Yeah.
It looked kind of like medicine. A lot of it was mistakes. Oh, man, what is this?
True.
Not bad. It tastes pretty good. I heard a story. I don't know if it's true or not, but I kind of heard, Simo citrus. I guess they produce them in California now. They look like looks like a honeybill.
Yeah,
Almost
except it's
what we
up
call
here.
a honeybill, but they're real
Gnarly.
rough texture. But it's extremely sweet, and that was developed. I'm not sure if it was Japan or
Was Japan.
California,
Mr. Penn.
but it was kind of a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody screwed something up and ended up with this.
And it worked.
And it's very expensive. You buy one now in the stores. Well, I can't say that. Grapefruit's expensive now.
Wow.
The joke was when we first started going to Japan. The joke was these people are paying $1 for a grapefruit. Can you believe that?
And
Wow.
Now what is it?
Going down to Publix, if you can find them, there's like 14 pieces of fruit laying there, that big, what we call size 48, which is small, $2.
Wow.
$2. So it's just, it's supply demand.
Yep. So what were some of the challenges in Japan that you guys faced?
Getting up in the morning. After a night out with those knuckleheads.
The 2,000 yen exit fee. When you had to leave town. The biggest challenges in the industry, one of the bigger ones that I remember is the phytosanitary issues.
Yeah.
We constantly had bugs coming in, fruit flies mainly, and the whole, we had to come up with we meaning the industry had to build fumigation chambers, around the state. We had some in Fort Pierce, we had some over in Polk County. we packed the
Gates,
fruit, and the
yeah.
trucks would have to go down, and then they had to be fumigated. The entire truck goes into the chambers and is fumigated by whatever the regulations were for the Japanese. We negotiated with the Japanese government, and
But wasn't that pretty hard to get them to accept even those treatments? I mean, as I remember, they
well,
didn't want it treated
it's
at
all kinds
all.
of problems. There was a employee problem because the gas they used was not real safe for people. You know, as they applied it, there was no residue problems. But anyway, and then that was one issue, and that's when we were doing the Sunbelt Dixie.
Out of
That's-
Tampa, usually.
That's
Stop
the
at one
reason
end
they
of-
that's the reason they put the fumigation chambers in Polk County, because it was on the way to Tampa.
Okay.
Because that was the port that could handle that larger ship. Nothing on this side could handle it. So anyway, so that was there. And then the other, I guess the biggest one was the Caribbean fruit fly, where we had to negotiate a protocol where every acre of fruit that sent fruit to Japan and Korea and
Taiwan,
California,
anywhere in Asia,
and
basically,
Texas.
had to go through this protocol, which involved on-foot, boots on the ground inspection by state Department of Agriculture employees. Had to walk. It was described in detail how many rows of tree, every third row, whatever it was, inspecting for what was it? A Caribbean fruit fly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Traps.
Anyway, so it had traps. They set up traps all over the state, and
Still
anyway, it was a very expensive.
Still doing it.
It was a very expensive thing that we had to overcome just to stay in the market. So
We
that
had cold treatment as an option, but that
Cold treatment was an option.
caused shelf life degradation,
Right.
didn't last, and you had the EDB fumigation, which was kind of a
Right.
no-no. They didn't want
ethylene
that.
dibromide.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of it. That's it.
And then we went to
That's
the Caribbean fruit fly protocol where we trap specific, every acre, in every 40-acre parcel in Indian River, St. Lucie County for this area anyway, is segmented and has a number on it, and that number has to follow that fruit from the minute you pick it till the minute it arrives. And if there's a fruit fly found in that container, that carton that has that number on it, you can trace it back to exactly where it came from.
Oh, wow.
So it's a very complex protocol. It's come second nature today, but at that point, it was like, oh my God, we gotta do what?
And who was it that came up with that? We just did, somebody went in.
I tell you,
the whole
Richard
thing.
Graves was big in it.
Was he?
I mean, he was one of the people that came up with the fly-free, designation.
That's probably why he's in the Hall of Fame too.
Probably
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
No,
I
he
knew there was
he
something,
was
I remember
big.
doing
He
a
was-
story on
He
somebody,
was
but I don't
heavy
remember what
into
it was.
that. He was
Yeah.
fair. He was very dynamic and.
There's a lot of negotiation going on too.
Yeah.
From government to government type
Right.
negotiation.
It's still going on all these things. I mean, we have black spot, we got canker, and we're still negotiating protocols constantly for whatever the, pest of the day is, and it's very cumbersome.
And I tell you, Dan Ritchie probably did more than anyone, when it came to all these other diseases, all the protocols that you had to face or help
Still
set
face.
up, or it was unreal.
That's what, and not because he's sitting right here, but the last 20 years, he's the guy you go to
Right.
to
That I
go,
know.
and we're getting involved with government regulations, how do we get through this, we got this protocol, we got to figure out a way to get around this. Dan always led the charge for the industry the last 20-25 years.
They're giving me way too much credit,
No,
Brenda.
you'll be, I've known you for a long time and I know they're right. You'll be in the Hall of Fame one day, I'm sure.
Dan and Richard Kenny. Richard
Yeah,
Kenny
Richard
was,
Kenny
I
was
tell
the
you
bulldog.
what, he
Oh,
was,
God, yeah.
he saved a lot of souls when they would have trouble, because he knew the people to contact, he knew how to contact them. I mean, he knew the protocol, and he would get a hold of the right person before anything got out of hand.
He bled with passion too.
I tell you,
That
he was
man,
incredible.
I remember
He was a
being in a
sweetheart.
meeting in Washington with him when citrus canker just came about, and we're across the table from the Californians, and they said, we don't want any fruit, in front of the USDA secretary, we don't want any fruit leaving Florida, because it puts our industry at risk. And then we started negotiating, okay, we're gonna give us east of the Mississippi until we can figure this out. Give us this, give us that. And they were just standing there, And I'm not kidding, I thought he was gonna come across the table and go after the head of the
remember
California
that.
Citrus Mutual, Joel. And I thought we were gonna have a brawl right in the middle of a conference room in the USDA office. He had a passion that was second to none. He loved this industry, loved the players. He was a grower himself, but a very small grower. He didn't need to have, that passion because it wasn't his livelihood. But
Right.
I tell you what, he was a special guy.
Yeah.
Was.
Miss him.
He
Miss
absolutely
him.
was.
For
Another
sure.
Hall of Fame
Yep.
Yeah,
member.
yeah.
There he is.
Yeah.
And that's why, because he
Mhm.
went
Mhm.
over and above and beyond.
Exactly.
He was something else.
So what about the, you always hear the river folks versus the interior folks. So, and we had because I'm from Winter Haven, so we had our own little personalities over there, as you can imagine. And so when I first started with the Hall of Fame, it was in 1989, I think it was, when I started running before Citrus Showcase. And at that time, the meetings were at the Lake Region Country Club. You weren't on there yet. Neither one, you weren't either. So, and so they would sit there and they would have cocktails with lunch and then get to arguing over who's going in. And you had Ben Hill Griffin
Yeah,
Jr.
yeah, yeah.
You had, oh my gosh, Willard Rowe. And you had the personalities of of the entire state. We're all in one room together drinking and then arguing over who's going in.
Yeah.
When I tell you, if we could have recorded something, I would have loved to have recorded some of those meetings. Because there would be several of them that go, it'll be a day I die before that person gets in there. That kind of stuff would happen. It was so funny.
You still hear a little of that.
Yes, yeah, you do.
Well, when I first got in the industry in the early 1970s, 71 or 72, whatever it was, when I, got out of college and the Army, whatever, the interior people and the river people did not communicate.
They did not.
They did not communicate. My father would not. He would go out of his way to not get into anything with what they called the ridge runners. That's what they called them. They called them ridge runners, and all of a sudden in the 1980s, and that lasted until the mid 80s when the freezes came along, and all of a sudden
Needed more fruit.
those buyers started coming over here and buying fruit from our growers. They became friends. I mean, because
That's what I
they were
knew.
selling fruit for lots of money, and they weren't used to that. Us packers who had those growers were going, "Oh my gosh, we just got outbid," but it was the truth, and that's when we became very, very close friends with the interior guys. It was in the 80s. That's about the time you got
Yeah, I
got
came in
started.
then.
Yep, I came in here in '81, and
Yep.
it was still on that edge a little bit, and I remember going over in the reverse of that, going over to buy navels, and I would go
You were
in-
stealing it.
and I'd go into Ben Hill's backyard in Frostproof, and there was this little restaurant downtown. They called it the Lion's Den, and I would go in there with one of the bird dogs I was working with, and it was all the interior boys, and they sit back and go, "Oh, here comes that genius from the Indian River.
That's right.
Paid so much money. I hope you lost what." But it was all in sport. It really was. I didn't know any better, because I was kind of the rookie. I didn't, so I just and I think that's gone now. We're all really close.
Oh,
It's such a small
absolutely.
industry
It's
now
small
too.
now, right.
We have to be working together. We have to.
Well, things started changing, and the citrus was kind of struggling, overall as an industry. We all kind of came together in a lot of issues that we kind of need to work out together, working with the government, working with all that stuff.
Right. No, I was Citrus Queen '81. I came in right through everything.
you knew it.
And they sent me over to Japan twice.
Oh,
That was, I went in there, I guess the girl who followed me, they didn't, anyways, they sent me back instead of her.
okay. She was good.
But anyways, it was one of those things where Don Lentz had said, "What the heck did you do when I got back the first trip?" He goes, "What did you do?" I said, "I don't know, but when I was over there, the very first tour I had was, it was the Cebu Lions, and I was presenting them with a basket of grapefruit. So I presented them with a basket of grapefruit and kissed them on the cheek, and Yeah, I had every paper in the every paper in the country. And then after that, I was on all those buyers and the owners, and it's like they would take 2 pictures, one of me kissing them, and one of me just standing. That was the one they would take onto their wives. So they wanted me kissing them on the cheek. Every single one. Don Lynn said that the fruit sales increased. I don't know, like 5 to 10%.
There you go.
Credit you with the growth of the
It was
Japanese
your
market.
dad. Right. It was you that did that.
Oh, that was fun.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, I enjoyed that. And that was when Amelia Mana was.
Yeah,
He's still around.
Oh,
Is
He's,
he still
he's
around?
sick. I mean, he's on dialysis. I spoke
Oh,
with
really?
him not too long ago.
Did you really?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
See the old boy.
he and his South Takeda have just become friends, but he's struggling. You know, he's at that point in his life where he's just struggling
Is he
with
still-
it. And,
He's
got a
still
heart
there?
issue too. You know, he lives in a town outside of Tokyo now, which I went to visit him there in Minakami, and he's like the mayor of Minakami. I mean,
Oh,
in
sure.
there. But he's. He was good for us. I mean, he was
Yeah.
always
He was
guts,
good.
and you know we're gonna he always over. But we sold 12 million cartons at one point
Yeah,
to Japan.
yeah,
Today, this year,
yeah.
125,000 tons.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's hard to
it's
say.
changed. It's changed to say the least.
Yeah, when I used to go over with the commission in what was that, mid 2010, whatever, they would say, okay, you're our second largest import, grapefruit. You're our second largest import. You've got we import 10 million cartons, 12 million cartons of Florida's grapefruit. Well, what's your biggest import? Our biggest import is bananas. We import 80 million.
That's so hard to believe.
So between 1 and 2, there's
Long
just a little bit of space.
And today
That's what it became.
it's kiwi and avocados
Yeah.
below bananas. They didn't even know they existed in the 80s.
That's right.
And now kiwis and avocados are the kind of the rage over there right now, and
Wow.
grapefruits the consumption's continue. But the demographics have changed over there. I mean, you know, these guys they're not getting married early. They're taking the train. They're eating on the train. It's hard to eat grapefruit on the train. So it's a whole different dynamic over there, and it's generational changes too that have caused a lot of this.
Right.
Plus, it's not easy to get it there with the logistic issues. And
Boy, it is anymore.
this year, the exchange rate certainly didn't help us.
No.
You know, so anyway, we've got challenges, but we're still there. We still have a platform that hopefully we can continue to build off of. Same with Europe.
Well, do you think the health, the way that they have reframed the health things with seniors and everything else is really hurting that? Are people listening to where they're saying, you know, don't eat grapefruit because it interacts with your medicine, that
Yeah,
type of thing?
I think that definitely had an impact on us, for sure, juice and fresh.
Yeah.
Primarily juice though. I think juice got impacted a little more than fresh in that regard. Statins. You know, it used to be statins were given to the 70-year-olds, now they're given to the 17-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
So they've just, Big Pharma's done a great job marketing downward in the age group that now has captured the large majority of the population that is on statins of some sort. That every one of them says, do not eat grapefruit or drink grapefruit juice with this drug. That hurt.
Yeah. No, not good. So you guys are retired, sort of semi-retired.
Yeah.
So what are you doing?
Well, I'd like to say that I volunteer with the church and
Well, you did that before you retired.
The church required me to attend.
and some other charitable work, but not really.
Oh, man. Exactly. Oh, man.
Jim, give Brenda your story, man. You got 12
Oh,
jobs.
Wow.
No, just matter of fact, I got back in the citrus business for a week with this guy last week. An old customer from Korea wanted to do some fruit and asked me to go by Dan. He didn't trust Dan. Said, make sure my fruit's okay. So anyway.
So Jim walks into the packing house and he goes, "What picture of a woman with you did Michael Grady get a hold of that you're packing a load for him?" I said, "Nice to see you, Jim."
You gotta realize everybody in Asia, but in that meaning Korea and Japan, is constant because he's one of the few packers left that are exporting.
Right.
How many? Everybody in the world's calling him looking for fruit. You know, he can only do so much. So that's what I was referring to. So
No,
he had to
Michael,
have some goods on him.
Known Mike a long time from his days at Union. He's a good.
Yeah. So anyway, but no, basically just enjoying life, just having a good time, I do a little work part-time, teaching fitness classes
Oh,
with
nice.
stuff that I really enjoy doing, so that's about it. That's
I
about
keep
it.
threatening to take a fitness class. I said, yeah, no, maybe tomorrow.
Here he is, Mr. Spin.
That's what it is, spin classes?
Yeah, he's a big spinner.
Yeah, spin classes and megaformer classes.
The last time I spun was off the road on a bike
Yeah.
in Jackson Hole.
The good thing about
make the
classic,
turn,
you
went right
don't
over.
have roads, you don't have dogs, you don't have cars, or flat tires. So anyway,
Yep, I went right down
Yeah.
the ravine, so couldn't do that much longer.
yeah.
Lucky to be here. So, and now I didn't even ask. How long has Riverfront been in existence?
1960 was
Okay.
when that packing house was built. Again, it was my father-in-law and his brother Reed Knight. The two of them built that together, and they parted ways probably right before I came into town.
Okay.
Reed Knight, young Reed, when Junior went on to be a pretty world-renowned gun manufacturer.
Right.
And it wasn't too long ago, I went up and met with Reed, because Reed and Victor were going to split up. They were going to take Grove and then Packing House, and they were trying to debate who was going to keep the Packing House. And it ultimately went to Victor, and Reed took a lot of the Grove. And so having lunch with Reed Jr., and he said, "I'm so glad you came along, or I'd be doing what you're doing. I would have never gotten into the gun business." And trust me, he made the right call.
He really got an operation.
And you went to
yeah.
school with him, right?
I did.
George? Yeah.
Went to grade school with him.
Hmm.
So what kind of operation does he have?
Oh, he's
Weapons, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
he manufactures all kinds of parts for mostly government, Army and
wow.
Air Force
SEALs,
and
he supplies them all.
parts for their weapons. And he's got the largest tank. I'm talking
Tank
about
collection. Mhm.
tanks, like
Abrams or something.
like Sherman tanks.
Yeah.
From the
and
original
whatever.
tanks, yeah,
An
from the
original of anyone in the whole world.
Oh yeah.
Where does he keep them at?
He keeps them in that warehouse up
He
there.
bought, he bought the old Trident missile
Mhm.
back,
Oh my gosh.
area, acreage up in Titusville. And you literally need a golf cart to go see it all.
Yeah.
It's,
Oh,
it's
wow.
gigantic, and he's got an unbelievable museum. I took somebody up there not
It's
long ago, we were
incredible.
walking up the steps, and he's got 5 Gatling guns at the top of the
Oh, yeah?
steps. And one of the guys said, "Oh man, that'd be cool if that was one from Josie Wales." He goes, "That's the one from Josie Wales."
No way.
Oh, he's got a collection. Have you seen it, George?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
It's awesome.
absolutely.
It's just a phenomenal museum of guns and ammunition. It's just
He's
phenomenal.
got every model of Colt pistol that has ever been manufactured. Every single one.
Hmm.
He's got Japanese rifles from World War II. One of the things the Japanese fighter would do is they all had the rising sun on the top of the weapon, and if they felt that they were getting in trouble and they might be captured or killed, most likely killed because they didn't get captured very often, they would scratch that off so out of respect that nobody would get one of their guns. He's got some of them with the rising sun on it,
Oh my.
which are rare. I mean, it's just, and that's just scratching the surface of what he's got. But anyway,
Oh,
he was, there's a guy that, like I said, George went to school with him, but he's just a genius of a mind, but he made the right call.
He did. He was in the trash
Sanitation,
business.
then he got into hedging and topping, and then
Yeah.
he could build anything.
Wow.
Incredible guy.
But does he have an actual museum or it's just his private
It's
collection?
private. It's a private
Private.
museum. You can't just walk in and see it, but it's remarkable. It's remarkable.
That would be neat to see, absolutely.
He
Oh,
created the
it's-
rail that goes on the top of the rifle where they put all of their scopes and their lights and all
Okay.
those things. And he's got the millionth rail. It's solid gold under a glass dome. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it's all government work that he's done over the years. And yeah, an interesting guy. But that's how that Riverfront developed. And then they split. And Reed went into the Grove business primarily in Grove Care, and Victor went into the harvest and the packing business.
Okay,
Affiliated with Seal Suite forever.
right. Now, you guys don't grow many tangerines over here?
No, it's grapefruit country.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. There's a little bit though, there's some Mineolas, there was a day when there was some Muricots and temples and, but,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Well,
it's
in
primarily.
the northern end up in Merritt Island, they grow a lot of navels.
Okay.
They have kind of known for, really have good navels up there. That was, in the day,
Right.
yeah.
So now what's with the no socks over here? I gotta ask because,
Look at that. He didn't have any, oh my goodness.
I got them on because it's cold today, but I normally,
And
Well,
normally
yeah.
I got some on, but not today.
You know, I don't know. I don't know where it came
well,
from.
because I remember that every time you,
Hamner.
the
It's
guys,
Hamner's fault. He'd wear high, you know, since he's not here, we'll pick on him. His pants were always too short, he never wore
Oh my
socks.
gosh, his pants were.
It was always, you could always see those ugly ankles in there. So we kind of got branded with George Hamner not wearing socks.
Exactly.
the interior guys say, those river guys never wear
Yeah.
socks. I don't know what
Yeah.
the heck's wrong with that.
Oh, it's funny, when George got inducted into the Hall of Fame, I called Adam Putnam, and Adam was coming down, and Adam intentionally came down and did not wear socks today.
Oh, yeah.
And
honor
George
of
had on
George.
socks.
In honor of George. And George wore socks.
George wore socks.
You did do that for, oh wow, you wore socks.
Yeah, he wore socks.
You get a picture? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember taking a picture of the socks. But I remember him lifting up his pants to show us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that was pretty
Oh,
funny.
Lord.
And then Adam lifted his up and he didn't have them on, so it was pretty funny.
Mutual respect for each other,
Yes.
but they cross wires.
Exactly. Oh, man.
Well, tell me, I don't want to keep you guys too long because I know you probably have plenty of other things you want
Yeah,
to do.
beer, we're pretty happy. We work for beer.
Yeah.
Do you need a refill? Do you guys need a refill?
No, I'm good.
I'm good.
Thank you.
I'm
Okay.
good, thank you. Thank you.
I'm over here eating.
That's good. Please do, because I don't, yes. So, so what are some of the other highlights from the area that we should make sure we cover and bring up that, you know, like any like for instance, Buck Bucklow, I can't find a lot of information on him. And I know he was so big over here.
Yeah, he was the head of the Citrus League from the
It's a long
50s.
time.
Didn't you take over for him?
I took over for him.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in '75.
Right.
So I think I think the first guy, Buck was the second head of the Citrus
Right.
League. The first guy was the guy from Brevard County. He was a banker. He
No, Buck
retired.
was the banker.
Buck was too. They were both.
They both were? Okay.
You're right. He was, and he was from Brevard County.
Right.
And that was when they did the Indian River Citrus League, which is our association over here. My understanding is that was kind of what was negotiated. You know, the interior and the river had their division we talked about. In Indian River, you had Brevard, St. Lucie, and Indian River County, which kind of
Palm Beach
a little
County.
bit of the same
And
thing.
Palm Beach.
Palm
Yeah.
Beach,
Yeah.
But Palm Beach was part of it too. But when they formed the Citrus League back in 1933, the compromise, or what they negotiated, was the bank would be, the bank was in St. Lucie County, the headquarters would be in Indian River County, and the person that ran it would be from Brevard County.
Oh, wow.
That's kind of how it all came about. And like I said, the first guy they had was only there like a year or two, and then Buck came in. Both of them came from banking. That's correct. And then so that had to be the early '50s.
It was, yeah.
Or even before that. Well, let me back up. I'm not sure. Anyway,
He was there like 20 some odd
he was there a
years.
long time. Cause we had the big party. You weren't here, but we had the big party for him, and it was.
They gave him a car.
Gave him a car. Gave him
I mean, I found the article
And golf
on that.
clubs. No, golf clubs.
I don't remember the golf club.
Yeah, the golf club. They gave him the car and the golf clubs. Anyway, and even that was negotiated a little bit, because I was the head of the Citrus League then, or coming in to take over from Buck,
Okay.
about where they were gonna have the party. You know, some people wanted it in River County, some people wanted it in St. Lucie County, you know. So
Where was it? Where did
we ended up at Club, what's it called?
Club Med, which
Well, it
is,
was called Sandpiper Bay,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
is that what it was?
Fort St.
Before
Lucie?
Club Med, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
before it's Club Med even, and that's where we had the party. And but anyway, then he came in. He was there forever, and then he retired, moved back to Brevard County. But he was always the guy that everybody always knew, because he was a good ambassador for the Indian River area,
That's
because
what they called
everybody
him.
really liked him.
Yeah.
And he'd walk in the door and kind of light up the room. He's a real tall guy. And even as when he got older, he had a really, stature about him. He always stood up very straight. And just, just had a smile, and, everybody just really is just a good ambassador for the river. And, anyway, so, and then he retired in '75.
Okay.
That's when you took over, Jim?
And how long were you there?
5 years.
I was gonna say a week and a
I wasn't
half.
there long.
5 days, and then
Yeah, anyway, I kind of did a 2-for-1. I had a BOGO. In '79, I got married, and I had to get back into the family business for a while. So I went back and moved out back in the family business in Central Florida.
Okay,
And then the freezers came in the '80s and put us out of business, and I moved back.
okay. So did Doug come after you, or was there somebody?
Doug was after me. Yeah,
Okay.
he came after me, and he's been there since.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He wouldn't show up today, so I don't know what he's doing.
the thing about though, that from Buck's time to today, there's only been 3 of you,
Yeah.
and you were there for a
That's
cup
it.
of coffee.
That's it.
That's good.
That's right. What Buck built up over 30 years or whatever it was he was there, I took care of him.
That's even better.
Anyway.
Wow.
And it's taken Doug, how many years has he been there?
79, right? No, you left in
Yeah, 79.
Yeah.
Okay, so he came, it took him that long to get back.
He's been there since '79.
Yeah,
Replaced Jim?
yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah.
It's almost 50
And-
years.
And Doug came
Yeah.
from the Palm Beach County.
Mhm.
Working in
And
the sugar
he
business,
was working at the south, no, he was working for the sugarcane growers.
Yeah.
Right.
And he was a water guy, and a young guy, real young, I guess he was just out of college, but he was pretty young. And anyway, so then he's been here ever since.
Now, who's gonna take his place?
And it won't be a place to be taken.
No?
Now, it's, it used to be on a per box basis, the packing houses would contribute a fee per box. Now it's, for $5,000, you get a seat on the board. There's only about, they're bleeding it down. I mean, out of respect for Doug, I think they're keeping it open because of his years of commitment. But I think within 2 to 3 years, that funding will probably dry up, unfortunately. Just the nature of the beast of what we're dealing with.
What's happened in all the organizations, so.
Yeah.
So now, you all have all served on the Citrus Commission, so what if, that's changed, it's same type of thing, that's changed tremendously. So what are your thoughts on the, maybe I should say the work that you did while you were on the commission, and then now the things that are happening today?
Jim, fire away. What was your biggest mark you left on the commission?
Oh, God. Well, I think I got more out of it than state did. Anyway, no, it was, as Dan mentioned, my father was on the commission back in the '60s. And so that was kind of an honor, to come behind him. And, but no, it expanded my horizons about the citrus industry a lot, because I came straight over here. So I was raised over here basically, in the citrus part of it with the fresh fruit and grapefruit. And over there, you had the industry, the oranges are king,
Right.
the state in the juice industry. That's the big engine. So I got, understood that a lot better. And and then really, what am I trying to say? The impact that the industry had on the economy of Florida. I always heard how good it was, but until I got over there and saw what really was going on and what, not only the dollars and cents, but the PR, the reputation, all of that stuff that the citrus brought to people think of Florida, think of orange juice.
Right.
And that's always pointed out, orange juice is one of the good guys. Nobody ever said anything bad about orange juice. It's good for you and that good wholesome thing, and that kind of fed over into the image that people had of Florida, which, I think that we got a lot of good things going on in Florida, over the years. And anyway, so that was probably my, and of course, just meeting people.
Right.
The people you meet, I guess, you met them on it. We got Burt Reynolds, we got all these guys. He even met Donald Trump one night, you know, so it
It
goes
had to be the
on.
Miss USA pageant.
Yeah, it was, you know, so it's, the people you meet, it's just an experience that you can't repeat.
Yeah, you know, the contacts that you make are just so invaluable. I mean, they're unbelievable. And people in the industry, people that are not in the industry, that really want to be associated with the industry, you know, state people, federal people. Also, while I was there, some of the things that happened, we moved from Lakeland to Bartow. and then 2 years later, we went from 12 commissioners, I think they're down to what, 8 or 9 now?
9, and they're moving back to 12.
Yeah, and now they're going to 12. So all that happened because they didn't need as many as they thought they did, I guess. I don't know, but
J.D. Alexander.
but it was.
Yeah, I never understood why you did that.
There's a story behind it.
Can we hear it?
I'll
wanna
get to it. I don't want to interrupt you.
No. I'll let you handle that. But those were some of the things, and you know, juice was. I mean, it was king, like Jim said. I mean, it was king, and you know, the advertising programs they had. We hired a new agency while I was there. You know, there was just so much going on that you were there once a month, but really, it was a. I mean, you were on the phone or.
Especially as chairman, George, when you were
Yeah.
chairman.
I mean, you were there more than once a month.
Absolutely. I was there every week, but it was, you know, it was self-gratifying in a way, but it was also a lot of work.
Did they still have the sales group at that? I mean, you know,
Nope.
the
We got rid of that.
That was Dan's deal. That was Dan's deal.
Yeah, it was turmoil when I got there, quite frankly. I mean, we had an executive director that it was time to make a change during my chairmanship. But the day of my chairmanship, I'll never forget Kristen Gunner walking in and dropping the equalization tax challenge to the equalization tax on my lap.
Right.
And then it wasn't 2 weeks later that Richard Graves and the group led the challenge on the freedom of speech clause as to the taxation without speech without taxation without
representative.
speech. So it was a freedom of speech issue. I don't want to be paying taxes for that speech, that message, whether that message is advertising. So we had that challenge. That went to the Supreme Court of Florida. So those are the two things. It was turmoil, and then we had an executive director that we had to make a change. And at that point, we had the Inspector General called me up to Tallahassee to find out what was going on. They had some backroom things that they were looking at. We had a dumpster diver digging in, trying to find some stuff on it. It was ugly. And you know, so that was it was pure turmoil during that time. I actually, you know, Mike Sparks came in and served as interim executive director, but they were so scared of their shadow. I'd get a call and ask, "Can we buy a box of paper clips?"
Oh
I
my
mean, with the
gosh.
Inspector General looking at the financial side. So it was interesting at that point. And then we went through the transition. We had to find an executive director, and at that time we had a lot of issues in Washington. A lot of issues in Washington that we needed, and we had the opportunity. I'll never forget it. I went up to meet with Jeb on this Inspector General deal, and he says, "Well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do for an inspector or for an executive director?" I said, "I don't know. Are you interested?" and he said, "No." But then oddly enough, I went over to see Bob Crawford on another issue because we were dealing with the canker situation, and he was heading that whole canker eradication program. And he said, "Geez, what are you going to do?" I said, "What do you know, same thing." I said, "Why? Are you interested?" He said, "Yeah, I might be." Really. Now, you got to remember where we were. He had just signed the decree to have George W. Bush become our president because Jeb recused himself. So he was at the peak of his power. He was one of the three, and we needed a lot done in Washington.
Yeah.
So we brought Bob in. He was the right guy at the right time for a window, but there was a lot of jealousies for that window. But I mean, we would literally, we went up there on an orange juice countervailing duty issue, and we walked right into the White House. We didn't meet with the president, but we met with his Karl Rove, and we walked right in, and you know, that's what Bob got us for that period of time. He was very good for us during that period of time. So it was turmoil, and we had, you know, we also had. I remember because it was the budget. The budget was we had 60 million boxes of grapefruit. We only harvested 55 because 5 got abandoned. We had 240 million boxes of oranges. You know, we were at the peak of all of that, even with all this turmoil. And I feel like we did a lot of good for the industry. You know, you always get criticism for whatever you do. No good deed goes unpunished. It was a high-paying job, nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was like these guys said, it was gratifying. I mean, you got something out of it. You gave, but you got, and it was a good experience. Good experience.
Well, I know all three of you guys have been very instrumental in the industry throughout your entire career, so I appreciate that. So
Me
why
too.
did you think that the sales staff needed to be reduced?
Well, we were at a situation, they were sparse, they were all over the country at that time, and they were not accountable to anybody. The executive director, they just ran, we didn't know what they were doing, when they were doing it, there was no accountability, and it just didn't fit anymore. We had to change that structure, is what we felt. And the thing had been getting a little bit out of control.
Well, I know when they did the whole couponing thing, and that's where a lot of that problem started,
Mm-hmm. It
so.
was.
But these guys were operating out of their homes, which is fine in today's environment, it's very common, but then it wasn't. And there was just no accountability.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys that we had in Lakeland, the Al Finches, the Pete Palmers, those guys they did their work. We just didn't really know what was going on. I mean, I went out to LA on a visit out there, and you know, what have you been doing? Show me. Well, you know, basically said, I'm collecting my check, thank you very much.
Oh my God.
So it didn't fit anymore. It didn't fit the model anymore, is the way we looked at it.
Yeah, we used to, when I had the Miss Florida Citrus program, well, the sales, those guys would be the ones who would set up the tours for her in their various areas.
Right.
And one of the best guys to do it was Ray Gross out in Chicago. And so, I'd had no problem with him at all, and I've been on him as Citrus Queen myself, you know, before I was running the program. And I get a call from the current Citrus Queen at the time, and she said, I need to talk to you, Miss Brenda. I said, well, what's wrong? She goes, these guys are telling these really jokes that are just not right. And I'm going, oh no, I forgot about those. And she was one of those people who just couldn't roll with it.
Yeah.
And so I had
You
that.
were great at that.
Well, I had.
Still are.
I like the jokes just as much as you guys do. But I had to call Ray and say, Ray, I have to call you because I've had a complaint. And he goes, Brenda, you know me. I said, I know you, and you know me. It wouldn't bother me, but it bothers her. And you've got to stop it. He goes, fine. And he never did another Miss Florida Citrus promotion ever because of that.
Really?
Yeah. And he would put up, I mean, we got so much publicity from that because he would take you into store. When I tell you we were working from 3 a.m. in the morning till probably 7 or 8 o'clock at night because we would do that farm radio show at 3 o'clock and then go from there and then do breakfast, do an orange, serving orange juice, and then do radio and media interviews, newspaper, TV, go to schools and do, for all the kids, go to sampling in the stores and everything else. I mean, he worked us. He was one of the
But
few
then he
that
stopped.
really, well, yeah, he stopped because of her.
Well,
that complaint.
but there's your answer as to they were just freelancing and doing what they wanted to do at times, and they weren't accountable to anybody.
Yeah.
You know.
But they had regional managers, so that would, I think, wasn't Pete one of those for a while?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we had the 3-party program. We had things in there that we actually created more problems for ourselves than we created solutions because we had a 3-party program where the 3 parties would be the grower, the commission, and the buyer. And the commission would go and set up the program with the buyer with no connection to the seller.
Oh,
And the buyer would say, okay, I'll do 20 loads. And we were thinking, okay, this 20 loads, we're going to be able to move product at a price. And then he would call George and he'd say, hey, I got 20 loads. What's your bid? Jim, what's your bid? And we'd actually spent the money on the promotion to lower our price.
Oh, wow.
So the structure of it it just wasn't appropriate.
Yeah.
At the time. It probably wasn't in Norda's day. I'm sure it was very effective, but
Well, I think when it first started was that's how you sold fruit. You went and did all these beautiful displays in all the stores. And you needed somebody to do that. And those were the guys that did it, or got the stores themselves to do it because
the
they would do
merchandising and that's the word.
right because they would do run programs where they would win stuff or whatever.
And that was before mega consolidation in the retail sector too,
Yeah.
where they were demanding what you would do. You couldn't do that today.
Yeah.
So that was part of the transition too.
And it was an interesting time.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
so now they're going back up to 12 commissioners?
Yeah, I believe
Yep.
so. I mean, you got Ben Albritton, who's in the Senate now, and he's
Right.
the incoming Senate president next cycle. And he's a former chairman, and he gets it. He understands it. He's trying to put it back to where it was.
I like Ben, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Ben's a big asset for the industry.
Dang right he is. He was there when I was.
You followed, he was chairman, George?
No, I followed him.
You followed him?
He let's see, Andy Taylor was the chair.
We lost,
And then he was getting, and he had it for 2 years, and it was like, I forgot who was next in line, but they did not want it, and he really wanted it bad. Ben wanted it really bad, because he wanted to go beyond. He wanted to go into the legislature.
At that point, yeah.
You know, and he needed that on his resume, so he became chairman. Did a great job. But he
No, he did. No, he did. You know, and unfortunately,
it was a stepping stone, and he went, into the House, and then now he's in
becoming
Senate.
Senate president. I don't think he's done.
I don't think
after
he
that.
is
I mean,
either.
that's a stepping stone. I mean, look
Yep.
at Wilton Simpson going in from
Exactly.
President of the Senate. I mean, Bob Crawford, President of the Senate, into the Commission of Ag. I mean, it happens a lot. That's a good. It's a leaping off point to the next level.
You think he'll run for governor?
I don't think so. I think he
Ben or
probably
Wilton?
Wilton will. Yeah, no
I
doubt. No
think
doubt
he will
Wilton
too.
will. I don't think Ben will run against Wilton.
yeah.
I don't think so.
I mean, but you know, we lost Walt Brewer, unfortunately. You know, he followed me, and he was only served for about 6 months, and he got killed. And Walt was a great chairman. He and I. You know, you got the Florida Sunshine Law, which you're not supposed to converse with it, but Walt and I would talk every day. But we'd talk about dogs and hunting. We never talked about
That's
Yeah.
right. Lord no.
but Walt was a real stalwart. You know, it's funny. You know, I grew up in the city. He grew up in the country. We couldn't be two more different people, but we were like brothers. I mean, I love that guy, and I miss him still today. We really got along well.
Wow. I didn't realize he had passed.
Yeah, he was killed in a car wreck, a truck wreck. He was two boys. He went out to get a video. You know, that's when you go to Blockbuster back then. And he was coming back, and there was a police chase coming out of Sarasota there, and they came around a curve, and the guy that was being chased hit bang sticks, tires went out, and he lost control and ran head on into the wall and was going the other way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it
Were
was
the
good.
kids?
Yeah, the kids were in the car.
Were
They're
they
fine.
hurt?
They're
Oh
fine, no.
my God. That's
It
horrible
was
story.
tragic. It was tragic.
Wow. Mm.
He was good. He was a good commissioner and a very good chairman. And a guy that did a lot for the community that you'd never know he did.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, nice guy. Good
Didn't
person.
JD have a video thing? Didn't he start
Yeah,
up that
I
order
think
even?
was it, yeah, I think he did. Yeah, it was one of the multiple things that he started and lost.
Oh,
We're gonna edit some of this, right?
Yeah, we got some chopping to do. He said no.
It's all going in.
editing is the power.
And you people trust me.
Thank the Lord.
Trust me, I never like when somebody says that.
There'll be a hitman down here in the morning. At night.
Yeah.
We don't need that.
Oh, man. Oh, Lord. Exactly.
Okay, so, any other comments you wanna,
Well, thank you for putting this together. and
well, thank you guys for
absolutely
coming. I really
Get to
appreciate it.
reminisce a little bit.
This is fun.
Well, we'll have to do, I mean, I'd like to do it on a monthly basis and just keep telling them stories about
We got
the
plenty
industry,
left.
cause you do have, I know,
lot of
there's
stories.
a lot.
Exactly.
And so if we just kinda did a little round table like this, and
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
whoever can show up or anything, I would plan it and just get
But you
people
got a lot
in.
of citrus guys around here looking for something to do.
Well, you can have him there, but you probably ought to have him alone.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to talk.
No one else would be there.
Nobody else is needed.
Like I said, George was absent when God told him you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. He said that day. George wasn't in attendance on that one.
No, he didn't get that.
I didn't hear you. What'd you say? I was talking.
Well, you should be around him and his wife, Tony,
Oh, God.
cause they're talking at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm
It's
going,
exhausting.
it's like watching a tennis match, it's
All
like,
right.
what the heck?
All right, both of you are talking. Is anybody listening? No.
When we circle back, George and I think Jim might have attended at a time or two. We'll have to tell you the story about how George and I started a club called Legends, and we rented some space just for citrus guys and poker games, and we had a ball. It was just, that was our meeting place up above a restaurant.
That's where the sunshine law.
Yeah, there was
Get thrown out.
That was
That was
there
it.
was a sign on the door. You know, there were 2 signs on the door. sunshine law does not affect you here because we are an international property. And the rule was, no girls were allowed, so the toilet seat always had to be up. The only opportunity we ever had to make that rule stick.
Oh, man.
That's pretty funny.
But it's true.
And then we had money stashed in the freezer, and we called it cold hard cash. For when we went downstairs. I mean, if the sheriff's department ever come there, there wouldn't be a citrus industry on the river. What we had going on there was fun.
Edit.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Was Jimmy Rasakis there?
No, this was pretty much just packing house guys.
Packing house, okay.
You know, we were price fixing.
Oh,
At the
man.
time.
Well, you guys have gotta help me get some other people together and do this,
Sure.
and keep it going, okay?
This was fun, Brenda. Thanks
Yeah.
for putting it together. And
Well, thank you
Kim,
guys for
thanks
coming
coming
out.
at the 11th hour.
Yes,
Thank you.
Jim.
Oh, yeah, thank you, no problem.
And
no
give
problem.
Bobby a hard time next time you see him.
Yeah.
Oh,
He would have been a good addition to this crowd.
He's pretty funny,
Oh, man.
He can be. He's witty.
yes.
Yeah.
But it was, so I will say this, so I was meeting them down at Bocce, they have the little breakfast club there. George Amner and Ron Edwards.
Ron Edwards.
And Lauren Waxlax, whatever it's called. And Bobby comes there from time to time. And every time he comes in there, they give him a hard time about the juice. Because if I'm there, I'm the only one that drinks juice. And
Okay.
they use his juice, right?
Yeah.
So the last time we were there, Ron Edwards is reading the label. He goes, "Hey, Bobby, you might want to look at your label. Because you know what? Somebody could sue you for this. Because you're saying..." He said, "I don't think they grow any navels in Mexico." And you're saying there whatever percentage he goes, and if somebody were to look that up, bud, yeah, they'd have a lawsuit against you for sure. This is Florida.
Just a label.
It was hysterical. Bobby says, "What?"
Yeah,
I
exactly.
bet he
He was
panicked.
right,
He
he
did,
did.
I
yeah.
bet he panicked.
Yeah, him. Yeah, exactly.
It was going to be a question of whether or not he was going to tell Mary Grace or not.
You can bet he wouldn't.
No, he was not.
Oh,
He
man.
backed in the door.
Yeah.
Hey, Bobby's the one we say he wears the pants in his family after he irons them.
Yeah, that's true. George says the same thing.
I'm not saying a word.
We're editing this stuff. We got edit veto power on this, so we think anyway.
Oh.
Brenda, thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you
thanks
guys so
very
much for
much.
coming out. I
Thanks.
appreciate it.
Thanks for the beer.
Absolutely.
thank you.
By all means.
All right.
That was great.
Anything else?
I really, I think we got some good stuff there, so I appreciate you guys doing that.
It's a comedy hour anyway.
There you go.